less than 1 million people in Albania when the communist regime took over in 1944. During the next 50 years, more than 50,000 Albanian artists, writers, intellectuals, clergy, and even ranking members of the Communist Party were imprisoned and interned. Many tortured, shot, or hanged. It was a political cleansing designed to eliminate any opposition to the regime under dictator Enver Hoxha.
First, we were interned by the fascists, then by the communists. I asked my mother if the fascist internment was worse than the one by the communists. No, dear. Nothing compares with the communist internment. Nothing.
We felt the weight of being foreigners under the communist regime because my mother was from Israel.
The communist dictatorship in Albania was a variant of the most tyrannical communist dictatorships because Enver Hoxha surpassed even Stalin.
The Iron Curtain fell, isolating Albania from the world. Political purges began, first against the landed gentry.
We had absolutely nowhere to go. We were thrown out of our house with nothing except the clothes on our backs.
Our mother was not even allowed to take the children's clothes. I was only 2 years old.
Then, students were targeted.
We printed tracts and wrote slogans. We distributed them to the executive committee of the party, and we even slipped them into the police headquarters. For this, we were arrested. The tracts were anti-communist. We criticized the system. We called for free speech and expressed sympathy for British and American principles. I was arrested when I was in my second year of high school.
Sons and daughters of dissidents were arrested, imprisoned, banished, and even shot.
The interrogator told me that my father, who had escaped, was dead. He was sentenced to death by shooting, so you will be shot in his place. I was just 5 years old when I was interned with my mother. My uncle, Fiqiri, and my father had been interned before us. I expected to be arrested because Song Festival number 11 was condemned by Enver Hoxha as decadent. I was one of the singers. This radio-television festival cried for victims, and the most likely victim was Sheriff Merdani because he came from a family of merchants with both mother and father in prison. My father was 46 years old when he was shot by the communists. This is the death sentence for my group that was annulled and converted to life imprisonment.
Extended families were also affected. Brothers and sisters.
They immediately stripped my father of his post as chief of the department and sent him off to become a simple laborer. My sister was forced to divorce her husband and work on a farm. My older sister, an accountant, was sent to work in the Department of Sewage. My other sister remained unemployed. One brother, a petroleum engineer, was sent to a tile factory to pull wheelbarrows. Another brother was sent to dig ditches.
Mothers.
It hurt. My mother died of heartbreak. While I was in prison, she cried all the time. I can't go on living, she would say. After 5 months, she died.
The young were deprived of education.
Why should children pay for their fathers? What about you, they would ask my brother. I want to go to school. What's your name? Simon. Do you love your father? Yes, I do. But he is our enemy. But I still love him. All right then, we cannot allow you to go to school.
Later, they attacked their own kind.
Reading from a report. To be sure that Tem was really dead, I hit him on the head with a pickaxe several times until his skull cracked. Then my friends took over with the pickaxe.
More than 22,000 prisoners were sent to internment camps.
Tepelena was a nightmare.
Campi Tepelens, Kaken Campi Shfaroses.
Tepelena was an extermination camp. Molded bread. Children died. Old people died. Dysentery and typhoid rampant. All of us cramped in the barracks. The work was very hard. They would send us girls up in the mountain to cut firewood and carry it on our backs to the police stations. Children up to 10 months old died of starvation in Tepelen.
At that time, a child of 12 years old was dying of starvation. He was going to die anyway, but he asked for a piece of bread. I couldn't give him my ration. What could I do?
Twice a day, they'd give us a spoonful of stew or soup filled with worms. These were the miserable conditions we lived with until 1954.
More than 15,000 were sent to jails. More than 5,000 were shot. They were sent to the mines, forests, and swamplands. The work was hard. Hunger numbed the brain. There was daily torture.
They stuck a rod here. Here they would tie my hands this way. Then they wrapped the vest tightly over my chest. My hands were tied to the stick. Then they took one leg and pushed up here. When they did this, I went mad with pain. My bones cracked. I screamed. But this was not all. When they grabbed the other foot, my body turned into a globe. Hands, feet, and head between. They kicked me around like a ball. You could hear my screams through the walls. During the first month of interrogation, after my arrest, I was placed in a coffin. One side of the coffin opened and they shoved me inside. They tied my hands and feet together with chains so I could not move. They stuck a helmet on my head. This was horrible torture. If a fly landed on your face, it could be a fight to the death. You could not move.
Even moments of pleasure dashed.
For 13 months, I was in an isolation cell where I kept company with little mouse. It was a treat to have a living creature in my cell. The worst torture was the cold. I was arrested in September when I was dressed lightly, and now it was winter. I welcomed the beatings by the guards, because the strokes hit my body, but I would spend time with my mouse. When the guards heard about the mouse, they shut the hole, and I never saw the mouse again.
They rioted to no avail.
Chavbar was hell. To squash the revolt, we started in Spach. They sent 2 divisions, tanks, anti-aircraft, and heavy artillery. The camp was surrounded. We could hear their curses. At this point, we burned poster stands and whatever you could find in the camp. We burned the books of Enver Hoxha, Marx, and Lenin. When the flames were at their peak, we raised the Albanian flag without the red star. We thought the world would come to our rescue, but no one came.
And finally, in 1991, the regime collapsed.
Diktatura Enver Hoxhës.
Enver Hoxha's dictatorship was an absolute dictatorship, tyrannical. People can't endure absolutism, or to be more exact, tyranny. This and the failed economy were the primary reasons for the downfall of Enver Hoxha's dictatorship.
Falimentimit dhe të përmbyshjes të diktaturës enveriste.
But the human spirit triumphed. It could not be destroyed.
God is great. He gave Haredina, my children, and me a new life. We feel wonderful. We have a house in Tirana, bought a home in America, and now we're happy. All we've suffered is gone.
When the famous Italian journalist Maurizio Costanzo asked, "Would you sing for me an Italian song to convince us that you really sang in Italian, and for these songs you were arrested?" So I sang this song.
Poi si sente a disturare,